Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's a pretty nice day so far. It's actually been really nice, but we've got some storms moving into the area, which we already knew about that. Like I said this morning, over the next few days, it looks like just off and on storms here and there, rain and pop-up type showers. Doesn't appear to be anything too serious, so kind of normal. And of course, on the global stage, it's all the same craziness. Pakistan is moving tanks and equipment to the Indian border. Things are looking pretty tense there. President Trump is still saying that he has been talking with Xi Jinping and that they're working on a trade deal and all this kind of stuff. But China is firing back and saying that's fake news. It's not happened. There's been zero communication. I don't know what's going on with that. I think sometimes the president likes to, say things that aren't necessarily true. I mean, he's even admitted that he speaks sarcastically and stuff. But, and then stuff with Ukraine and Russia, same kind of deal. Keep saying that there's a peace deal, a ceasefire deal in the works, but yet there's still a lot of heavy fighting, and Ukraine is saying that they're not going to comply with certain things because it doesn't suit them. Russia is talked about ceasefires for a while, but yet they're not doing it. So all of that stuff is kind of going on. The tariffs, now they're back to saying that they're not going to back off of any tariffs. That's what the White House is saying. They're not going to, there's not going to be any pause or anything like that. So everything is just, it's constantly in flux. And maybe that's the plan, and maybe it's because no one really knows what in the world's going on. Who knows? But that's kind of the state of the world. Now, I want to shift this video pretty radically from what I've been talking about lately, which is what I just mentioned, to things that of actual real importance, which is your preparedness with others. Any of you that's watched me for a while, you know that I'm a huge proponent of community, group, tribe, mag, whatever prepping. That, lone wolf stuff can happen, but in my experience, very few people are truly capable of lone wolf prepping when the doo-doo hits the fan, or lone wolf survival. You need others. We're made to be around others. We're made to be kind of a tribal type people, and I know that word can sound weird and have offshoot connotations, but I just mean that we're meant to be together with other people. And so that's really where we need to be trying to focus. And that's hard. It's hard to find other people. It's hard to trust in people. It's hard to find people that you can work with. It's hard to find people of like mind. And I get it. I've been doing this for years, and I can tell you it's one of the hardest, most difficult endeavors that I've ever done. Not saying it's not been successful, but it's really difficult. It's difficult to kind of sift through the weeds and stuff to find people that are serious, find people that are willing to put in more even than they get out of it, or at least as much, people that are trustworthy, people that are serious. They're not just fair weather. All this kind of like-minded believers, all this kind of stuff. It's not easy. But then again, the most important things in life generally aren't easy. And so I think that this is just one of those when it comes to the possibility of surviving bad things. It's necessary. Now, on that note, I want to mention that I understand that some of you might believe in your heart that the world is coming to an end right now. It's going to get horribly bad. It's going to be apocalyptic, and we need to hurry up and get ready. And some of you probably are thinking, well, I think we're going to go through a rough spot. We're probably going to go through a recession, maybe a depression. It might be a rough spot. Here's how I look at it. I see all the puzzle pieces that are going on, right? That I tell you about all the time, the pieces that fit into a bigger picture. But really, for me, the most important factor in all this is Scripture. Bible tells us that there will come a time when it sounds pretty much like hell is unleashed upon this earth. that bad things are going to happen. And even before the extreme apocalyptic bad things happen, that bad things will just progressively be getting worse, right? And the big question is how close are we to those times? Who knows? Weeks, months, years, decades, eons, millennia, who knows? We don't know. But what I can tell you is that for an absolute fact, that the world is becoming a more wicked place. The world is becoming evil, more evil, satanic. It's becoming more and more and it always is. It's always progressively getting worse, because that's just how sin is. And if only with that as a factor, to me, it's enough to pull my family outside of this world as much as possible, to separate ourselves, to set ourselves apart as much as possible. And that means schools and as much as you can with business. It's getting that way dietary wise, because of all the junk and stuff, synthetic stuff, all of it. And so the best way to do that is to do that with others, because you kind of need others. And so it's just another argument for in favor of kind of that mag tribe community, whatever. Now, I've gone around the barn several times, so let's get into it. These are just some tips, some things. When you're doing this, you and everyone involved needs to understand that you're not necessarily doing it to build relationships. You're doing it to build a group of people that can work together, survive together, trust each other, survive together. I mean, that's the purpose. And if you build friendships along the way, that's great, but that's not your primary focus. Secondly, it has to be with people that you can trust. People that, when stressors are the worst, when everything is at its worst, that they will still stick together. They will be loyal to the cause, and that they will stick together. Someone may be of like mind in belief, spiritual, biblical belief, but they may not fit that. They may be like-minded in other things. They may have skills and talents that would be useful. But if they aren't there for the tribe, for the group, if they're not there to put their efforts into building that, if they're just there to reap the benefits, or they're just there to fellowship, or they're just there to learn and to have fun, then there's no guarantee that when things get really bad, that they're going to stick it out. Also, observing how people interact with each other, how they develop relationships, how they handle themselves under stress, are a good thing to notice, because it's going to be stressful. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. And if people can't get along now, if they can't handle stresses now, if they're in this panic mode now, or if they have short tempers and they all this kind of stuff now, it's going to get worse. Okay, so it's something to think about. A lot of people, and I mean a lot, because I get contacted by people all the time. I see people all the time. People show up at our big monthly meetings, new people every month. Some of them are genuine. Some of them are serious. Some of them are what I would consider hardcore. It doesn't mean that they know everything. They may not know anything, but they are absolutely hardcore to the cause of finding a group of people to ride this storm out. And then you get people that they want to fellowship. They think it's fun. They like the, hanging out with people. They want to learn a little bit and then go on their way, but they're not really serious about doing stuff. It's fine to have relationships with people like that, but they're probably not going to work in your tribe. Because regardless of the severity of the collapse, building a small, close-knit group of people is not easy. Under the best conditions, it's not easy. It's not easy to build close relationships that you can trust people under those conditions, under good conditions. It's certainly not going to be easy under bad conditions. There needs to be certain things that are just fundamental that everyone can agree upon. Doesn't mean you have to agree upon everything, but there should be certain fundamental things that everyone agrees upon. But then at the same time, you have to understand that you're not going to be identical. You're not going to always like that person. But you do need to get along and to tolerate and to look beyond personal differences. It's like a marriage. It's like a marriage. Any of you that's been married for any length of time, you know that there are times that you don't like your spouse as much in that moment as you did the one previous. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you don't like them or you fell out of love with them, but in that moment, they have angered you or irritated you so much that you're not really that fond of them right now. You don't want to be around them in that moment. Sometimes those moments can be big. Marriages go through all kinds of stuff and stressors. And the ones that are strong and the ones that understand it, they work it out and they ride it out and they come out good on the other side. And that's how a tribe needs to be. There's going to be times you're not going to get along. There's going to be times you're not going to like each other. And if you can't stick together now during those times, you're not going to stick together in the bad times. You know, I've been a firm believer that for a long time now, I have believed that the average modern American, modern person has really lost the ability to work together with people. You know, back in the old days, people helped each other out. Communities were close-knit. Families were close-knit. You knew your neighbors. You didn't always like each other. You didn't always like your family, but you still stuck it out because you had to. Divorce rates were almost non-existent. It didn't mean that people didn't have problems. They just worked it out. I remember years ago, I met a couple that had been married. Like they were both, like I think one was like around 100 and the other one was almost 100. And they had been married for like 80 years or something. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. And I talked to them. I said, how did you make it work? How did you make it work? I said, because, you know, I'm sure that you had ups and downs. You're like, oh, my goodness. Yes, we had ups and downs. They both said, yes, we there were times that we just didn't think we were going to make it. But we realized that, and I'm kind of putting it in my own words, but they said, we realized that our marriage wasn't disposable. That you can't just throw it away. That you have to stick it out, even in the bad times. And that's what a close mag tribe has to be. People should go into, if the people that are serious, the people that are hardcore serious, they go into it with that kind of mentality. Now, of course, you should know what you're getting into. You should get to know the people first. You should spend time. There should be time where people can just spend to get to know each other before they're making that level of commitment. But in the back of your mind, that should be kind of what you're thinking. That if it ends up that this is where I'm supposed to be, or these are the people that I'm supposed to be with, then it's a permanent deal. That we come together and we build trust, and that's why it's very important for it to be the right people. But this is what I'm getting at. We live in this disposable society that if things don't work out, we just throw it away and we get a new one. And if we don't like friends and coworkers and neighbors, it doesn't matter. We just ignore them. And that's not going to work when everything hits the fan and you're in a small group. You can't break up then, because what are you going to do? Go off into the wildlands and get consumed and destroyed when you've put all of your survival in that group? And I know there's going to be the argument, well, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that's fine. But coming together in a small community, tribe, mag, team, whatever you want to call it, is very important. And it needs to be more than just, we're a rifle squad. We're just going to defend each other's property. If there is no tightness, if there's no community, if there's nothing that they have built the emotional attachment to fight for it, it's not going to work out. If you're just doing it because it's mutually beneficial, but there's no attachment there, then when things get really tough, then it's very possible that's not going to work. That's why throughout history, invading armies, standing, trained, equipped invading armies always have difficulty in putting down citizen rebellions within their own lands, because those people that are defending their own property for whatever reason, they have so much more that they are fighting for. They're not fighting for a paycheck or fighting because they're ordered to or fighting because they're under that banner. They're fighting for their families, for their wives, their children, their property. And that's stirs up way more passion. And so that's how it has to be for it to be truly successful. Because if it's just 4 or 5 guys that come together and shake on it and say, listen, we're gonna defend each other's property if push comes to shove, but yet it's just an agreement or something like that. That if there's no emotional attachment to why they're doing it, and it's going to fail. This is where I've said that the whole militia movement went wrong. The militia movement does that. You know, you come around from the county or from the region, we're going to train, we're going to defend the area. But yet most of them, not all, most of them, they don't do anything to build a connection within the team, within the group. You know, they should be bringing their families together and having, you know, time together, picnics and potlucks and fellowship, so that there can be an emotional bond built. Because then when that happens, then they really are going to defend what they have. They really are going to defend each other. That's, you know, you ask any soldier that's ever been into combat, like real combat, they'll tell you they're not out there fighting for the flag or for their unit or for their military or for whatever. They're fighting for the guy in the foxhole or in the, you know, wherever they're at. They're fighting for their buddies. They're fighting to protect and defend their buddies because they have built an emotional attachment with them. And that's how tribes, teams, mags, whatever you want to call it, that's how they need to be. It needs to be more than just a mutual beneficial agreement. It needs to be people that can be trusted, people that are going to put their all in it. They're going to work for it. They're going to see that this, if the tribe is strong, then the individual is strong. And so they have to put effort into that. And if they're not putting effort into that, then they shouldn't be complaining about things that aren't working right. I hear that all the time. I have people kind of on the outside, you know, they want to be involved more, but they only want to be involved when it's fun, when it's like work days. Hey, we're going to meet up over here and do this. They never show up. All right. They don't show up. They don't show up to the hard stuff. They don't show up to the work day, but they want to do the fun stuff. It's not how it works. It's not how life works. It's not how your homestead works. So why do you think that your tribe or your team or whatever is going to be any different? If you're going to do this, which you should, you have to really put into it. It has to be a major priority, and it's going to be some blood, sweat, and tears. It's no different than a family or your homestead. You're only going to get out of it as much as you put in. And if you're not putting in much, don't expect much. But when all of this stuff that's going on and the stuff that you read about in Scripture, when that all starts happening, you're going to wish you had others of like mind to ride out the storm together. So you should probably be working on that. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.